Well, the weeds are starting to grow, so it's time to hook the tractor up and knock them down. Got a Boston butt on. Take a look at that. That looks good. Anyway, let's get started. Let's get this oil checked. Looks good to me. Let me get this battery charger unhooked. A little battery minder. Keep that on there to keep the battery good and charged through the winter. So everything looks good in here. We'll go around to the other side, check everything. All that looks good. Let's drain some of this water if there's any in it. Yeah, it looks good. Go ahead and prime it up since it's been sitting for a while. Water level's good. Everything looks good. So one thing I do need to do on this thing, this steering wheel, it has like a hydraulic catch on it, and it does not work. So when I get to some bumpy terrain, this steering wheel just takes and flops back and forth, which makes it almost impossible to drive. So luckily everything out here is pretty smooth, so it's not a big deal, but we're going to get that fixed first. So it looks like I've got to take this trim cover off, and then I'll have some bolts that I can get to in here. And then there's a couple of little 8mm that are right down here. So I'm gonna get some tools and see if we can't get this knocked out. For some reason my microphone wasn't recording when I was doing this part, so I'm going to take and talk over the video. So I used a drill with an 8mm to take out the bolts that were on both sides. There's one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side. I then got up in the seat and started taking the trim cover off of the top. All I was able to do was take the upper part off. There's actually two 8mm bolts that are underneath where the little steering wheel cover goes. So I took the drill, those are 8mm as well, and was able to pull those out. One thing that would have made it a lot easier is if I had a bungee cord to hold that steering wheel up, which I actually added a little bit later on. So now that I have the trim cover off, I didn't want to unhook all of the connections on there, so I just kind of worked around with it dangling up on the top. It was kind of a pain, but it made it a lot easier than having to unhook everything and hook everything back up. So the little tan cover kind of has ears that snap into the black piece. So I took and removed those ears and then was able to get the little tan piece unhooked from it and then move it out of the way. Well, my microphone decided to lock up on me, so I'm gonna start over. So I ended up taking this off here, disconnected the ignition switch so I can get to where that pin goes in. I know this is a pressed in pin, so I got some of this seafoam deep creep here. I'm gonna take and spray it down. If I can get to it, there we go. Let that sit for a little bit, and then I'm gonna come back. I see a lot of guys struggling with this, but what I'm gonna do is just take a air chisel and put it right here with one of the little points and see if I can't use that to get it out. As far as the top side, that uses an Allen wrench, which is, let's see, if I moved it up, I could easily get to. You can see right here, got a little Allen head on there, so I'll work on that. In fact, let me just go ahead and spray it all down. And then we'll come back in just a few minutes. All right, back with the 5.5 millimeter. We'll try it. Let's see. Put it there, put it right there on it. Let's give it a whirl. Boom, that worked. Well, this, you just tap it with a hammer and it comes right off, so easy enough. That's enough to make it free. That's all we're gonna do right now. And then we're gonna take and we'll get these Allen heads out. 7/32, but it looks a little small. That'll fit on the drill. Let's try it. Yep, that worked. All right, let's go to this other side. And there we go. So now we got to punch this pin out and put the new one in. I'm going to use a little cheap ass Harbor Freight drill bit. I don't have a roll pin punch. There we go. There's a spring in there, so there's a little spring. Alright, so I took this off of the new one. I'm going to put this pin back in. Get the little handle lined up with the hole. There we go. We'll take and tap it in. There we go. Then we can screw that back on. First we got to put that spring in. And then I'm not exactly sure lengthwise, and really if it even matters. So I got the handle, release handle, onto the new gas shaft. I left this loose right here so that I can orient it correctly, and I think we're ready to go to start reinstalling. Got it right here, so we're going to take and put the Allens back in the top. So we're basically right here. So I got that one in that side. Let's see. I'm going to use a socket wrench to Alright, so that part's back together. Now we got to get that pin pushed back in. So we're going to take and do the opposite that we used to get it out. I'm just going to take a socket. This one is a, well, that's my 8mm. I'll put it on just like that, and then I can get that around that round pin. And there we go. To see it, so right there's the pin. As you can see, it went in good, so that's good. So I'm just going to run through, tighten these up, but let's see if it works. It's good and sturdy, and if I lift it up, look at there. That's awesome. Alright, so I'm just going to put all this back together. Basically play the video of me taking it apart backwards, and you should be good to go. But if I run into any issues, I'll let you know. I'm just going to actually let the video run, and you can guys watch me put it back together. I'll run it in fast motion. So, man, that's awesome. I actually can use that to get out now. Used to, it would always fall down in your lap. Well, that was a real pain in the butt, but I got it done. Now I can actually adjust the steering wheel. Nice, nice, nice. So let's take and check the air pressure in these tires, and then we're going to go around and get that mower. We're at 12 pounds. I'm going to check the other back one. Boy, that was a pain in the butt to get it hooked up by myself. Now it's time to go knock down those weeds. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps some of you guys with the John Deere 5000 or 6000 series to swap out that gas strut for the steering. I enjoyed making the video, had a lot of fun doing it. Did acquire some new equipment to put out some better content in the future, so please be sure to subscribe to the channel, and thanks again for watching.